Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your favorite YouTuber in the house, Ndigoati Unati Mdingi, and thank you so much for tuning in. So, I'm going to be focusing on a few points in this video. Ndiathetha ke like dinomlomo guys, I speak a lot. So if I'm not pointers for this video, I feel like okay, so this is what I want to discuss or rather educate about namhlanje. I thought hey, I need to jot down some points, know exactly what I want to tackle, because I know that I can go overboard and I can talk non-stop. Anyway, so okay, so see, Kabila was we've addressed what debt counseling is and what the purpose thereof is as well. So a lot of people ask me, is debt counseling a good idea? Love, if you are struggling and you cannot manage keeping up with your payments, of course, yes, it's a good idea. So yes, I mean, why the hell not? If I'm giving you a solution to a problem, and the solution that I'm giving you is going to help you get out of the problem, why not? So that's exactly what debt counseling is, guys. Debt review, yes, and yes. It's a good idea if you are a consumer or if you are someone that is over indebted or you are struggling to manage paying your accounts. Then yes, debt review is definitely a good idea. I mean, guys, it has changed thousands of other households. Personally, I have helped hundreds of South Africans get out of debt and also out of a debt review. Officially, guys, it has bettered their financial situation and rescuing someone from stress debt, guys, and getting them to, getting them to a good financial position where they have absolutely no debt. I mean, by the time you get out of debt counseling, you've already gotten used to, you've adapted to the discipline of ubeka saving imali. By the time you get out, you probably don't even want to go back to the credit market to in the same position. So yes, definitely, by all means. Okay, so next question. How does the process of a debt review work, and how do you determine if you need debt counseling? So before you apply for debt counseling, the debt counselor has to draw up an income and expenses document, or rather a budget, also taking into account your total debt. Yonke debt nje yakho credit report, that also needs to be taken into account, because it's important to understand and to know how much you owe. At the same time, the debt counselor will want to know what your salary is, your income, and we work with the net income, not gross. So this is net after deductions. So we work on your net income as a debt counselors to determine how we can structure a repayment plan for you as a consumer, right? So basically, the purpose of doing this financial assessment is to determine your state of over-indebtedness by taking the income yako minus the monthly payments that you make towards your debt. So that's taking salary, net salary, minus the monthly debt repayments. For example, if you have 5 personal loans, I will add all the installment for those loans to know how much you pay towards your debt every month. So the assessment is done by taking the income minus the monthly debt payments that you make, minus the expenses at home like rent, transportation, groceries, all of those basic expenses, to determine how much money you have left. So if you end the month on a minus, which is what we call a shortfall, it definitely means that you are over indebted, because your income cannot afford all your monthly expenses to sustain you and your household, and it cannot afford to also pay your debt at the same time in full without you missing any payments. If uphela kwinyanga on a surplus, and a surplus means that income minus the expenses minus the debt repayments, you are left maybe with 5,000 rand. That is a surplus, as opposed to ending the month on a shortfall. So As I said, how does the process work and how do we determine? So I've just answered now, how do we determine when someone needs debt counseling? We do a thorough financial assessment, we draft the monthly budget, we also look at the monthly debt and the overall total debt to determine whether or not you are over indebted. So although as a debt counselor, you do that assessment to determine if a person is over indebted or not, there is still a legal process of you applying for a debt review that needs to go through to the court for the court to also declare that you are over indebted, right? So most debt counselors are able to reduce the monthly installments by up to 60%. Guys, it's a bargain, I know. Imagine how much you get to save on a monthly basis if installments is by up to 60%. You get to save on interest rates as well because your interest rates are also lowered. And because let's be honest, interest rates are very expensive, especially since 2020 during the COVID lockdown. It really put a lot of strain on most companies and individuals as well. And also with the cost of living rising, electricity up on Eskom is just the entire mess. So those type of factors do also contribute towards a credit market, where again you will find that creditors are increasing the interest or they are charging high interest rates due to the status of the inflation as well, So businesses at the end of the day, like I said earlier, they also need to sustain themselves. The credit providers are businesses, they make money from charging us interest. So a debt counselor is there to help you save on that interest and make sure that you are actually being charged fairly. Because sometimes, guys, or if you're not a high risk person, you actually do get cheaper interest rates if you are not a higher risk. So it's important to maintain a good credit profile and pay matyala up to date, because the more you borrow credit, if the better chances of actually you getting fair and cheap or affordable interest rates. Okay, so let's move on to discuss what's the process now. So we've done the assessment, we've determined what you are over indebted. Now you need debt counseling as a program to help you get out of the debt. So what's the next step? What is the process? How does the process of debt counseling work? That's the next question. So the first step of the process, number one, you complete a debt review application form. This form is called Form 16. It has all the terms and conditions about the process. It has the fees. It's basically, Form 16 is the legal agreement between you as the client, the one applying for a debt review, as well as the debt counselor. So it's a legal agreement between you and the debt counselor, which you have appointed to negotiate on your behalf. In other words, the debt counseling company that you have applied under, is you have the agreement with them. So this form is called Form 16, and it has all the terms and conditions about a debt review, like I said. Now, the sad reality is that most South Africans are fundi. South Africa, guys, are fundi. There are so many South Africans or people in general who still put their signature down and just sign without reading the fine print. And there's a fine print, zezona, that come back to bite you and they catch you, because they won't explain those tiny terms and conditions that you should be reading. And at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to read what's the documents, or it's your responsibility to read paperwork that has been given to you before you sign it, because at the end of the day, it's your signature that you are going to put on that paper. And if you are signing your soul up to the devil, how do you even know if you have not read? So guys, please, we have so many issues dealing with abantu who apply for a debt review. Then they come back to ask you questions that are actually addressed on the form. So it's called the Form 16. Step number one, you apply for it. And you have to submit your application form yako together with a copy of your ID as well as a copy of your latest payslip. Payslip is required for proof of income because we need concrete evidence that you are getting a salary. And number two, we also need your ID, obviously, as proof that you are the actual person. So these documents, they don't need to be certified. And then for couples that are married in community of property, please note, if you are married in community of property, you can never apply for a debt review without your partner's signature. So culture in community, that ideally means what's yours is your partner's, what's your partner's is yours. So when you apply for the process legally, it means it should be a joint application. Whether your partner is struggling or not, whether they want debt counseling or not, it does not matter. The fact that you applying for it means your partner also has to apply. In community, eyakho eyam eyakho. So noba siyangena mntase, singena sobayi-2 iphelele apha. So again, it's a huge problem. Couples don't actually talk to each other or discuss finances. And you will find this as a huge hiccup or challenge in the debt counseling industry, that people need debt counseling and they do qualify, but they never actually end up applying simply because of their partners. Either bayoyika uxelela partner about the actual situation, they are scared of actually being transparent and honest with their partner about what is actually happening, which results in you not applying, even more, and depend on loan sharks simply because you refuse to be honest with your partner. Again, being authentic and transparent is important because of things like these. Step number 2, you've signed the application, you've submitted it with your copy and your ID and payslip. Now, step number 2, the debt counselor then sends a notification to all your credit providers as well as the credit bureau to inform them that you've applied for the process. So this notice is called a 17.1. 17.1 is a notice that your debt counselor sends to your credit providers as well as the credit bureau to inform them that you've applied for the process. Then we move on to step number 3. So step number 3 is where your credit providers must provide the debt counselor with COBs. So COBs are certificate of balances. Each and every account that you are owing will come with a certificate of balance. So a certificate of balance is a document that has all the account details, like when did you borrow the loan or open the store account, credit card, whatever type of account it is. It will show what the interest rate that you are paying on this account is. It will also show what the monthly installment is. It will show the outstanding balance, information like that. So your credit providers are the ones that need to email these certificate of balances to your debt counselor after the debt counselor has sent the notice. And they need to send these documents, these certificate of balances, within 5 working days after receiving a notice from the debt counselor. Right? So on these COBs, this is what the debt counselor uses to determine whether or not you are over indebted. Because remember, like I said, all the updated information on the accounts, accurate information, balances, everything will be on the COB. Right, then we move on to step number 4. Guys. And the thing is, I need more people, especially black people, I need more of them to be educated and also to understand and know the power of this program, because so many black people push this program away only because of the fact that you're missing the bigger picture altogether. But how is it not better to have this debt settled, and in 5 years or 3 years to come you are free from it, 300,000 rand, as opposed to you just borrowing every month and keep adding and adding and adding and you never get out? Guys, it's a real thing. Let's move on to step number 4. So we've received this COBs ngoku sazibona. Step number 4 ke ngoku, the debt counselor now sends a 17.2 to all the credit providers as well as the credit bureau, declaring that this client that we are dealing with here is over indebted. So once your application reaches 17.2, it means that sifumene ne-COBs, and now we've declared officially that you are over indebted and we are proceeding on to negotiations, right? So step 5 is debt counselor then starts the negotiation process with your credit providers to establish or come up with a new payment plan that is going to be affordable for you. Remember, the debt counselor is reducing all of the monthly installments on your accounts into one new affordable payment, which is now the payment plan in this case. So the debt counselor does all the negotiation work on your behalf as a client. The debt counselor will negotiate the interest, the installments on all your accounts that are going to be paid from this new monthly repayment. Please do note, the credit providers are the ones that have borrowed you the debt. So essentially, they have the final word when it comes to whether or not they are willing to accept the amount of money the debt counselor is proposing. Because remember, if you come to me, I do an assessment and I tell you that, okay, you are currently paying 10,000 every month for your accounts, but I can drop that down to 6,000 Rand for you. I'm saving you 4,000 Rand, which you did not have. So I'm going to take the 6,000 Rand and I'm going to use that amount as negotiation for all the accounts that you were paying a total of 10,000 Rand to. But what I'm saying now is, it is not up to me as a debt counselor now. It is up to the person I am negotiating with to say, okay, Unati, you are proposing to pay me 3,000 Rand for the vehicle that I have borrowed, Ubongani. Okay, that's fine. I'm not willing to accept 3,000 Rand for this vehicle because Ubongani also missed 2 payments on this car. Therefore, unjala 3,000 Rand, which is the original installment, and unjala 2 other payments, which means you are owing 3,000. So we are going to ABSA, no, I'm not accepting this 3,000 Rand. The monthly installment is 3.6 lemot. That's what I mean by it is still up to the credit provider's discretion if they do want to accept the amount being proposed or not. If they want more, guys, or they request an increase, it's the debt counselor you have applied with. It's their responsibility to come back to you and say, hey, Bongani, uABSA uthi akazokwazi uyamkela 3,000 Rand le sibayiproposela yona, beyifuna an increase of 600. If you are willing, i-debt counselor izayinyusa ke ngokula monthly installment yakho yi-1 la 6,000 to 6.6 to be able to add an extra 600 for uba kubhataleke imoto yakho for ABSA to accept the proposal or the new arrangement. We need to also meet the creditors halfway, because as much as this process is designed to help consumers, we are, also helping credit providers in terms of collection, because there are so many people who are struggling to pay and they end up not paying at all, or some are just reckless, they choose not to pay and use the money on other things. So we as a debt counselor are now helping the creditor to get their money back, and the only way we can do that as a debt counselors is to reduce your monthly payments and interest in order for you to afford paying them back their money. I hope that makes sense. In a nutshell, that's what it is. Okay, so once the negotiations are complete and the credit provider is also happy with what they will be getting from this one reduced installment, your new repayment plan is then accepted by the creditors. They do send acceptance letters. What is it called, Ghanaian? Yeah, but they send acceptance letters to inform the debt counselor that they have accepted the new payment arrangement. Once they have accepted the new payment arrangement, the debt counselor then starts to restructure the debt. So in other words, now they are preparing the restructuring of the payments. How much is now going to be allocated to each account? So they come up with a formal structure. Now, step number 6 is you as a consumer are now required to start making your new monthly payment according to the repayment plan that has been negotiated by the debt counselor on your behalf. And with the debt review payments, guys, most debt counselors now should be using a PDA. So debt counseling it became strict than what it used to be. There's been a lot of inquiries about people not being sure about debt counseling. There are a lot of consumers who are still uncomfortable with the idea of having a third party helping them pay accounts. And it's understandable, guys, because not every debt counseling company is ethical and professional, and not every debt counselor does things according to the book. So, which explains why as any consumers zisayoyika nangoku debt review, because kukho company ezizake ku-apply the first 2 months bathatha imali yakho, because i-creditors ingxaki zibhatalwa only from month 3 after the negotiations have been legally formalized, right? So i-company ezininzi ke ngoku, the first and second payment that you make is essentially going to the debt counselor for all the work that they are doing on your behalf before they start to pay on the third month. So zikhona ke za companies zake kubhatale and then zibaleke nemali yakho and then you never hear from them ever again. So 2 months gone ubhatale bona, i-accounts zakho azibhatalwanga kula 2 months, and that's about it. So step 6, as I was saying, you are required to start making your new monthly payment according to the negotiated payment plan. So government again introduced a PDA. A PDA is a payment distribution agency. This payment distribution agency, one that I do know is called Uhyphen Technology. So Uhyphen is FNB affiliated, but registered with FNB, and the purpose of Uhyphen, irresponsibility ka hyphen as the PDA. Uhyphen every month nguye odebit, so it's the payment distribution agency that will debit. They will run a debit order from your account every single month. Le debit order is outside yilena ke ngoku intsha ireduciweyo ireplace ntoni eza debit orders yi-10 ubukade uzibhatala wena uAbsa atsale yakhe uNedbank atsale yakhe njalo njalo. So now that you've applied for the process of debt counseling, the debt counselor zikhanselishiwe zonke za debit orders, because ngoku zonke za accounts zizawubhatalwa from ntoni le 7,000 i1. So every month i-payment distribution agency, which is the PDA, it will debit la 7,000 from you every month. Then EPDA is our distributor la 7,000 to pay all the accounts that are under your name. And the lovely thing about this is that there's security in this, and there is also a reassurance, in a sense that, like I said, EPDA, which is Uhyphen in this case, it's affiliated with FNB. FNB is a big bank, it's well known, it's trusted. And every single month after PDA itsalile la mali yakho yabhatala accounts, it is the PDA who sends you a statement every month. So on the statement, that's where i-distribution yakho is displayed. As a statement uzawumana usifumana kwi-payment distribution agency, siyakuxelela uba kubhatalwe malini for each and every single account. So that's how you will know that amatyala wakho ayabhataleka on a monthly basis. It's by keeping track of those statements. And guys, again, I do want to emphasize, it is not the debt counselor who is sending you the statement. Stop calling it debt counselor zenu uti kaya nifumane statement. It's not the debt counselor's responsibility to send you a statement, because remember, it is not the debt counselor that is making the payments either. It is the PDA that distributes the 7,000, the monthly installment, the one installment. So they have to send you those statements every month as proof that they have distributed and paid your accounts. I hope that's clear. Now let's move on to step number 7. Step number 7 is where the debt counselor's in-house lawyer is the one that goes to court from time to time on your behalf to finalize all the legal processes, and also they need to also eventually get a debt review court order granted. Yes, a court order is an official proclamation by a court or a judge requiring a person to do something. So the court order is a legally certified document echoyo ke ngoba moving forward ubongani uzawubhatala imali ye-7,000 every month ezawubhatala amatyala wakhe. So that is basically step number 7. Then the last step, once all your debts have been settled, ubhatele onke ke ngokamatyala usatyali ne-one account. I'm referring to only the accounts that you put under a debt review. Once you have paid off zonke and they are settled, then a clearance certificate is issued to you. A debt counselor, it issues a document called a clearance certificate to you once zonke accounts zakho ugqibile uzibhatala. So a clearance certificate is an official document that is issued by the police. It confirms ukuba all the debts that were outstanding have been paid up, including wena interest, wena arrears, yonke into nje uyityala uyibhatele. Once it has been declared, it usually takes about 14 working days after the day of the complete application is received. So you are done paying onke amatyala wakho, right? Each account is on a zero balance. I-creditors funeke zithumele paid up letters to the debt counselor, because the debt counselor ke ukidinga as paid up letters as proof into ba okay akho balances are outstanding. Once we have checked all the paid up letters, akusekho account uyityalayo, then we complete an application esisa emapoliseni. Once the police have received this application at the Criminal Record Center, they then take about 14 working days, sometimes 30, because they need to legally stamp the certificate before the debt counselor issues it to you as a consumer. Once you receive that certificate, it takes maybe about 20 to 30 working days for the credit bureau to then remove that red flag. The credit bureau removes that from your name, from your credit report, and now that red flag is no longer there, the flag that you are blacklisted, remember you're not blacklisted, it's a flag that was placed to show you are under the program. Now this flag is removed after you get the certificate, and that simply means you are now debt-free, you are out of debt review, and you can go back into the credit market and you can start borrowing credit. It's as simple as that.